Hey, we are back with another Seeds of Success. As always, Dottie is here with me. My name is Orly. Dottie, how are you doing today?
I'm wonderful, Orly. I am really good, and I'm excited about being able to have our podcast today because it's going to be an exciting topic.
Yeah, and if you are new to the show, which I'm sure there's still new people always listening in each week, feel free to go back and listen to past episodes. We have plenty out there for you to hear and plenty of good information for you to learn from. Today's show is checking it twice. And what we mean by that is, making a list and checking it twice. That's not just a Christmas thing. It's about that time of the year where there's things you want to start checking off on your list, making sure you're getting done. Dottie, what are some things around this time of the year that you would make sure to check off your list?
Well, you're so right, Orly. I have list for lists, right? I love to work off a list, and this time of year, when the weather starts to change and get cooler, and I'm in Texas, so it takes a little bit longer for it to get cool here, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, this time of year, I start thinking about things like, um, you know, the influx of new people that are getting, that will be coming into my center, the holiday parties that we're getting ready to have, and the families that are bringing their, friends and family from out of town into the center to celebrate and enjoy time with one another during the holidays. So, with that being said, one of the things that I am always very mindful of this time of year is my shoes. So, shoes are a huge revenue generator for bowling centers. One thing that we really need to be mindful of is to make sure that they're in tip-top shape. A lot of times, what happens, shoes get dirty, the shoelaces get knotted. And I don't know about you, Orly, but when I go into a center and I get a rental shoe, there are times that my first instinct is, no, no, I am
Yeah,
not going to do that. Let me get another shoe. There's knots in this one. I can't even tie it.
yeah, or
And that's
you don't want to be holding it with two fingers like away from your face while you're plugging your nose. That's pretty gross when you're scared to put on some bowling shoes.
absolutely. And you know what? There's so many ways to get around this. First of all, sometimes it's nothing more than the shoe needs a good, wiping down. And I know we've all heard the saying, if there's time to lean, there's time to clean. Well, this is a good opportunity. Give your staff a rag and some cleaner. You can even use soapy water. Make sure that you are not using anything that's going to hurt or harm the content of the shoe. But definitely wipe those shoes down and make them look good. Look at the laces and make sure that sometimes the laces just need replacing. You can buy large quantities of the lengths that you need, have them on hand. And when you have laces that are dirty and dingy or have knots, cut them out, put new laces in, and clean that shoe up. Make sure the bottom of the sole is good. Make sure you've got that steel brush there. You can roughen up the bottom and clean off any debris that's on the bottom of those shoes and put them back in the counter. And you're prepared then for those groups and stuff that come in. The last thing you want to do is to have an experience where they're getting a pair of shoes that's not up to your standards, and that makes a negative impact on their experience. You certainly don't want to do that.
Yeah, and not just that, not just about clean shoes, just enough pair of shoes. When we were starting out, we didn't really know, how many shoes do I need, how many, and then you get this school coming in of, five fourth grade classes, and most of the kids wear the same size. You don't want to be like, I don't have enough shoes for you. So you want to make sure. I think that's another thing too, making sure you have enough. You might not ever know the exact number you need, but make sure you have a good amount of all shoes. I've noticed that in some centers that I've been into, kids shoes that, like, oh, we don't have that size for that kids. That was one thing that was good to offer. I even made a post about that once saying, everything from a size 6, this tiny little toddler shoe, up to a size 18. And people would come in and, they were like, wow, do you guys really have a size 18 shoe? Yeah. I kind of just made a joke about it, but it's, we have a variety for everyone.
That's right. And shoes are relatively inexpensive. They're a huge moneymaker for centers. And to make sure that you do have an adequate amount of shoes, you I mean, you're never going to know what the customers coming in are going to require, but certainly, one of the things that we used to do is we used to order shoes and get in a nice big shoe order and go on and tag them and date them. And then we had a room that we kept them all organized in. And when we had large groups coming in, then we had a back stock already in place that we could put out. We knew we had an inventory sheet. We knew what we were bringing to the front. When we were done, we could put them back up in the room. And we always had them, but yet it didn't clutter the front desk down. We had a process in place for that. And now's a good time to look at that. Look at, what sizes you have available. Take a look at the shoes you have already in your inventory and make sure that they're in good shape. If not, if they just need a cleaning, make sure that you schedule that. Put that on your list for somebody to be responsible for cleaning those shoes, and place an order. If you don't have any in excess, make sure that you do it. And Orly, it's funny that you said a size 18. You never know. It seems like feet these days are getting bigger. I, of course, am in San Antonio. My center was in San Antonio, and we had the San Antonio Spurs that visited us. So you never know who's going to visit you that are going to have big feet. So it doesn't hurt to have a pair or two of really large shoes in that event, because when that happens, they're not used to finding places that they can go and ask for a size 20 pair of shoes and they get it. So that's a wow factor, right?
Yeah, no, that's happened before where they were like, "You guys actually have a size 18?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, he'll take it." Like, and it's usually, what's funny is it's usually like a high school kid. It's like, "Geez, this big kid coming in. He's like, I never get to bowl really because nobody ever really has my size shoe, And I'm like, "Yeah, no, we have it here." And that's cool because, I mean, you've just gained a new customer. They're going to want to keep coming back in. And another thing, when you're looking at the shoes, when you're cleaning them, I mean, if you're noticing certain pairs are kind of getting worn out more than others, that might be a sign that that size is popular. It's being used a lot. And when you're working the front desk, you start to remember what sizes get used a lot. Or, on a busy day, maybe take a look in your cabinets or where you have them stored and look what's kind of out at that time. Maybe write that down. Like, man, all the size 7 women's are out right now when we're busy. I might need to order some more size 7 women's. That's more of an average size.
Yeah, and you can also just talk to your staff about that, because the people that work the customer service desk on a routine basis, they get a pretty good feel for what they're running out of, and so make sure that you're asking them. I will say, Orly, if one of the things that I am a big fan of, and that is doing monthly inventory on your shoes. I know it's kind of a pain and it's a manual process, but there's a lot of advantages to it, because then you are able to look at your shoes and make sure that they're in tip-top shape, because every single customer deserves to have, if they're going to rent shoes, they want it to be a nice shoe, right? And you even have some that ask, I want that pair. They're very picky if you have multiple different ones to choose from. But I encourage you, if you are not doing a shoe inventory on a routine basis, and if you don't have your pars set, certainly consider doing that. And then also consider when there are shoe specials going on, and you can order in extras and have a back stock for when you have a blowout on a shoe, or when you have an influx of people coming in. Remember, if you have to tell someone you don't have their size, that's money out of your register. And we don't want to do that. We want to be able to accommodate everyone. And you certainly don't want to have them bowling their street shoes, and you don't want to have them bowling their socks. So having that extra stock is definitely beneficial.
Yeah, another thing that comes to mind is, shoes are handled. What's funny, before we even go on, it's funny how me and you could talk, for 10 minutes about bowling shoes. If we could, we would keep going on bowling shoes. But another thing as comes to mind is that's handled a lot in the center is balls, bowling balls. What do you look for when checking those every few months or checking them this time of year? What are you looking for that stands out that would make you want to order more, or start replacing some of those?
That's a great point, Orly. And I encourage people listening, if you're not doing a routine ball inventory, I would certainly recommend you start, because it's the same thing. It's an opportunity for you, number one, to make sure that your balls are accounted for. Sometimes they get hung in the underground. They go off the the rail and they, go into the underground. You got to go fishing for them. But back to shoes, for example, let's talk just a second about that. You might be surprised how many shoes you might be losing that you don't realize that you're losing. I was near a high school, and for the longest time, that was a thing, is to be able to try to see if you could walk out with a pair of shoes, and they would wear them to school the next day. And I have to tell you, one person made the mistake of doing that, and they went to school with my kids, and my kids are like, I recognize those shoes. They're from the bowling center. I got those shoes back, incidentally. But you never know how many shoes you might be losing because they just kind of get mixed into the shuffle. Same thing goes for the balls, but it's harder for a person to smuggle out a bowling ball, right? Not to say
I was going to insert the bad dad joke there. The shoes just walk out of the center.
Oh, boo, Orly. Oh, that's really bad. I have seen that people like a specific house ball, league bowlers, for their spare ball, so they'll go put it in their locker and take it out of inventory for the others. But anyway, nonetheless, on a routine ball inventory, you can catch things like chipped balls or balls that are really dirty, or the one thing that you really want to make sure that you are inspecting on a routine basis are the finger holes.
Okay.
The finger hole, sometimes if you get a chip on a finger hole and someone goes to put their hand in that ball, they could cut themselves. And we certainly don't want that to happen. And so make sure that whoever you put in charge of your inventory is looking for those kinds of things. And if you've got a pro shop there and you have some minor things that need to be done, if there's some gouges out of a ball or whatever, get with your pro shop and I'm sure they'll help you out and take care of that, and make sure that those balls look clean, make sure the finger holes aren't got dirt and stuff on them. So take those few extra minutes and look at what you have on the rack. And make sure that you have the proper quantities. Again, if you've got a lot of people coming in for the holidays, just like we did shoes, we had extra balls in place that when we felt that we needed, let's just say we have a large group of kids coming in, we're going to pull the 6 and 8 pound balls, 6, 7, and 8 pound balls out of excess, and we're going to put them on the floor for that particular event and then put them back up because we don't have enough room on our racks for them. So consider that. You can even load the lanes with, the balls in advance, things along those lines. So yeah, it's just a couple of things that you need to have on a list somewhere and make sure that you're checking in this time of the year. And, seeing as we're talking about balls, Orly, I'm going to throw this out there. Anybody that's a bowler knows it. But in the heat of the summer, if you are carrying your bowling ball around, not to keep it in your car because of the high temperatures. Same thing. This time of the year, the temperatures are going to start to dip, and you certainly don't want to keep your equipment in your car. Bring it into a warm bowling center. A cold ball meets warm climate, rolling it down, hitting hard pins. You certainly don't want to watch your ball crack or anything along those lines. So make sure that you are taking care of your own personal equipment this time of year to avoid any catastrophes by leaving it in your vehicle. So awesome. This has been a really good topic and one that we sometimes forget about. But with all this influx of people getting ready to come into your center, make sure, and pardon the pun, that you're putting your best foot or your best shoe forward. Pretty lame, huh?
Yeah. Well, you guys heard it there. Make sure to make your list. Check it twice. That was all good information. And until the next Seeds of Success, we will talk to you soon.